Steve, you and your colleagues at the Fuller Youth Institute have just published the results of a study called Growing Young, which I understand is already sold out and already having to go back into into print.
Very excited.
But it reflected a examination. Where are the churches that kids just like being part of, love going to, look forward to being members in? And of course, any minister listening wants to know, I want to be a church like that. So what have you found?
Thanks for asking. We are very excited about this book, and we really hope that it will help churches. And I think what was interesting about the study was this, is that we hear a lot of rhetoric, especially in church circles, of young people leaving the church. And there certainly is a narrative associated with that less people are going to church, especially young people. But we decided to come at it in a different sort of way and ask the question, are there any churches that young people like? Are there any churches where young people are actually loving being involved? And is there anything that we can learn from that? An article in The Atlantic most recently by a woman named Anna Green said something really interesting. She was reflecting on congregational attendance, and she said, the experiences of those who are leaving the church shouldn't obscure those who are finding spirituality or finding the faith. And I love that, because I think there are multiple narratives out there about what's happening with young people in the church. But maybe we can look at the positive side for a second and say, well, maybe there's some things that we're doing right and that other churches might benefit from hearing about. So what we came up with and what we realized is that there were about 6 core commitments that churches had that young people seem to talk about and say this is really, really important. And what I loved about the study was this, is that there was a tremendous amount of denominational diversity, ethnic and racial diversity, socioeconomic diversity. And so what we found is that the successful churches weren't the big churches or the ones that had a gazillion-dollar youth ministry programs or a rock star youth pastor. They were small congregations, some with youth pastors and some without, all sort of sharing these core commitments, which was really, really exciting. One of the core commitments was this idea of warmth. Young people said over and over again that they appreciated the church because it felt like a family, that there was this relational connection that they felt with the church. And so one of the ways that we've been talking about that, at least in our circles, is that warm is the new cool. That it's not about being hip and trendy. There's actually this relational warmth that comes where young people resonate with that in a profound sort of way that sort of changes the way they think about things. One of the churches that we interviewed, we did some surveys with them, and then we did some on-site interviews, and they kept talking about this guy named Bill Wallace. Bill Wallace this, Bill Wallace that. We're like, who is Bill Wallace and why is he so great in this church? And we thought, well, he must be some sort of rock star youth pastor or something. So we go to the site visit and we meet Bill Wallace. Bill Wallace is a 76-year-old man who told us his story about how he never felt supported when he was a young person. And he made it his commitment to pay attention and to love on the young people in their community. And he encouraged other people to do that as well. And this community just created this sense of inclusion and acceptance and support. He actually wrote a manifesto about it, and so we asked him to send it to us. And so we got it finally, faxed from the local library. I mean, this is just great stuff. I mean, that's how he brought it to us. And so this element of warmth and this relational warmth seems to really resonate with young people. And again, it wasn't about the program. It was about the ability of the communities to see other people for who they really are and to accept them and really develop those relationships.